ARC Seattle is teaming up with the Chamber for Seattle Reconnected. It's a series focused on helping you rebuild connection in your life.
Let's rewind to Tuesday when I had a chance to talk with the founder and CEO of the Chamber of Connection, Hurst. The Chamber of Connection, you all focus on 6 points of connection. For those of us maybe at home watching who have never heard of you all, can you, or what those 6 points are, can you just briefly review those for us?
No, of course. So what we realize is a lot of people know they want more connection, but they don't know what that means. It's like, okay, so I should make friends. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? So we looked at all the research that's been done across fields and really broke it down into the 6 things that the research shows are critical. And they range from, like, you should have 2 to 3 one-on-one meaningful interactions a week with someone outside of your home. You should have a third place that you go to on a regular basis. You should have a neighbor who can serve as like a regular, point of support for you and your family. You should have a community around shared identity. So something about how someone with shared experiences, shared values, a community around a shared activity, something that you love. And then what we're talking about today, which is really around building connection through community service and being part of the community that way.
Community service, giving back. Why is that important in terms of building connection?
Yeah, I think it hits on multiple types of connections. So one is its connection to place. So when we start to actually serve the community, start to get to know people, we actually start to take ownership of the place we live and feeling a sense of connection to the city, to the people. So there's at that macro level. But it's also really important because we tend to socialize with people who are a lot like ourselves. And what we see in the research is it's so important. If we want to break down this challenge in our nation around trust and around crossing divides, we need to hang out more with people who aren't like us. And service is one of the only ways that a lot of people actually get out of that little silo and meet other people. I think the other piece is when you're serving, you tend to be around people who share your values. So even though you may be very different, you realize that you have this thing in common. So you hear like a lot of stories about like, where did you meet your spouse? It's like volunteering. Where did you meet your best friend? Volunteering, because it's a place where people go, and seen it over and over again that it is one of the most powerful ways to meet people.
That makes sense, especially if you choose to give back to an organization that someone else, the same one someone else was interested in. It shows that you have shared values. You've been building community service programs and into that since college. I mean, how did you get into that, and what interests you?
I just love service. My undergraduate degree was in service learning. So basically, how do we use service as a means of educating ourselves about the world? And created a program at the University of Michigan where we were teaching in the local prisons as a volunteer program. Then went on and built the Taproot Foundation, which was a movement to get business professionals to use their marketing and tech and HR and finance skills to help nonprofits around the world. And scaled that to 30 countries, just seeing how universal service is. And I think you've written children's books.
I have, yes.
So my wife and I at that time wrote a children's book called Mommy and Daddy Do It Pro Bono.
Oh my gosh.
So it was it was a lot of fun, just sort of showing people how to think about as a family how service is so important to instilling values. And then most recently, with the Chamber of Connection, we've just been really overwhelmed by the amount of volunteer interest there is in getting out there and supporting newcomers in the city. So again, we're really building a movement of volunteers around supporting new people to the city.
I love the fact that you are doing this, and I mean, I love that book idea, by the way. You've got to come back and talk about that book. What a great lesson for kids. I mean, in all of these different opportunities that you've built since college, I mean, what has been your takeaway, even with what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the takeaway in terms of just people thinking about it is, first and foremost, just show up. Like, start doing something. It's easy to just like look for the perfect thing, but really just sort of getting out there and just signing up for something is incredibly important as a sort of a way to get started. A lot of people are like, I want to do it eventually. The second thing is really find other people to volunteer with. So when you meet someone, like, instead of having an awkward conversation, be like, hey, have you done any volunteering? Can I come with you next time? Or if they say no, like, have you any interest in volunteering? I've been thinking about volunteering. Can we find something to do together? So use volunteering as a way to connect with people you already know. And while it's important to just get started, one of the other things we've seen is that, especially with younger folks, they tend to just do episodic volunteering. And you don't really get as much value out of that when you're just constantly doing different organizations, different places, because you're not learning about the issue, and you're not making friends because you're not there long enough to actually make those connections. So
I see.
It's fine to sort of date around in your service, but it's ideal to find something that you can really stick with so that you're really building connection, you're learning about the organization, you're learning about the issue, and you're around the same people over and over again, so they become people you go to get coffee with, that you invite over for dinner, etc.
So get started and then consistency. Be consistent with with that same one, whatever that may be.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a great tip.
Yep.
So you all have had several Welcome Day events, and you have another one coming up. Before we talk about that, how have the last couple gone?
I mean, these welcome events have been just completely, like, overwhelmingly amazing. We've had people from 18 to 80 showing up.
Wow.
Every race you can imagine. Like, just, it's the most diverse room of people I've seen in the city of Seattle in my 11 years here. So that's just been incredible to see. And the whole time, people are really just, they're working with each other to design the life they want in Seattle. And as one person shared coming out of the last session, I came here thinking I was going to learn about Seattle. I ended up learning about myself. And I think a lot of this work around connection is really reflecting on, like, what is it you want in life? What is the life you want to design? And how to do that in a relationship-centric way. So it's just been amazing to see that. And as you and I were talking about earlier, before this segment, we're seeing people from around the country now saying, can we replicate what's happening in Seattle? Can we create our own welcome days? Can we create our own onboarding for new residents? This is clearly striking a chord. You
guys are now serving as a model for other big metros across the country. It just goes to show everybody wants connection, right, and community. The next Welcome Day is in April. When exactly is it, and why should people come?
April 19th at Town Hall, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's on a Saturday. You should come if you just want to have, like, a restart of your life in Seattle, whether you moved here a week ago or 3 years ago or 30 years ago, but you want to, like, really take a step back and say, what is the life I really want here, and to meet new people and to dream about what's possible. So if you're ready to sort of take that step, we would love to have you there. We have about 100 people each time, and it's just amazing, fun people to come and meet.
100 people, 18 to 80, diversity. I love it. You can just kind of choose your own adventure. Redesign your life. I like that you said that.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming back on the show. Redesign your life. Redesign your circle, your social circle. Make a new social circle.
Reach out to people that maybe you wouldn't normally reach out to, and you'd be surprised at the connections that you can make and the common ground that you can find amongst each other. Can certainly do that by volunteering or doing some community service, which is helping the community in return. So it's a good thing. Yes, indeed. Kind of a win-win.
Still ahead on Mark Seattle.